welcome to the Starzology Astrology Podcast. I'm Alison Price, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Arwynne O'Neill.
Hello, Alison.
So nice to have you again.
Nice to be here.
And in this episode, we're going to be going back to some of our planet's basics, and we're talking about Mars in the signs.
Yeah.
So I think first we're just going to have a quick chat about what Mars generally represents, and then we're going to go through Mars through each of the 12 zodiac signs and just have a quick chat about that.
Yeah.
Sounds good?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then Mars in general.
Mars in general. It's the god of war.
The god of war.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it represents young men in your chart. The guys, if you're interested in guys, it's definitely representative of that, and actions you take.
Yeah, and what you are aggressive about.
What you'll defend.
Yeah. Your aggressive style, what gets you riled up. And
your competitive edge.
Yeah.
And
how you fight, your fighting style.
How you fight, yes. Ooh, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So if we were going to look at the first sign, then that would be Mars in Aries.
Yeah. And of course, I'm going to quote from Stephen Arroyo.
Okay.
Person-to-person astrology, energy factors in love, sex, and compatibility.
Ooh.
And the reason that this is relevant is because Mars and Venus are very much what you'd want to look at if you're talking about compatibility, if you're talking about love and sex.
And so many people come with questions about love and love and love and love and
life and love.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is his most recent book that I'm aware of. It came out in 2007.
Okay.
So he has done a great deal of research in the creation of this book.
Right.
He surveyed hundreds of people who had Mars and Venus and whatnot in all these different placements.
Mm-hmm.
And so he has a great deal of empirical, sort of evidence-based, really interesting personal stories that are linked to all of the different placements that he talks about, which is great.
Okay.
Because you really want to hear what it's really like for people who either have these placements or are in relationships with people with these placements.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I know previously we've done some Venus episodes, and I'm going to put links to those Venus episodes in the show notes below this podcast and on the blog post as well.
Great idea.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mars in Aries, this is what he has to say. And of course, this is Mars in a fire sign, so this is important.
So this is in the natal chart we're talking.
Right.
Mm.
So Mars in Aries asserts itself competitively, directly, impatiently, and sometimes recklessly. It intuitively grasps the essentials, restless urge for action directed towards new experience, often has entrepreneurial flair and or mechanical ingenuity, and sexual drive and physical energy are expressed impulsively, powerfully, and confidently. So yeah, he says that people, both male and female, who have Mars in Aries have an attunement to a direct, focused, and physical energy without the complexity that's found with Mars in other signs.
Right.
So these can be just like, your prototypical sort of martial sort of style person. Maybe a boxer or
a fireman,
or an athlete, or a fireman.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they can be overtly aggressive or just have abundant physical energy. They really need to have a sport or a physical hobby or an activity or some way to burn off their energy. And they have a lot of very just basic charisma,
Okay.
Like
it's a hot-blooded, red-blooded.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about it, babe? Type of positioning.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ah.
And he says they make very dashing lovers, but they often can get bored or fail to focus for the long haul.
Whoa.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
Yeah. We all know people like that, don't we?
I think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah. Next, we have Mars in Taurus. And of course, as I always like to say, this is what I think of as Ferdinand the Bull. And you have just revealed to me that you don't actually know what that is. And
I know.
Which means that probably at least half of our listeners, if not more, probably more, have no idea what I'm talking about when I refer to that. So I'm just going to go ahead and really quickly tell the story.
Yeah.
And then we can say we've done it. Ferdinand the Bull is a children's book that I experienced in my childhood in the 70s. I don't know when it came out, but it was basically about a bull who's like the biggest bull in the field, And all of the recruiters, I guess, for the bullfights wanted to recruit this bull because he was big and hulking and scary.
Right.
But he just wanted to lay there and like smell the flowers, and that's all he wanted to do. He didn't want to fight. And so when they eventually like corralled him and, pushed him into the ring, they threw all the roses out, because they do that for the matadors, and oh yay, the matador, they throw the flowers. And Ferdinand was just elated and was like, oh, roses, and then just lay down and smell them. And so he doesn't want to fight. Yeah.
So this is Mars in Taurus.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
What do you do if you don't fight? My God.
I don't know.
Well, apparently, according to Stephen Arroyo here, the aggressive urges are held under control, but should never be underestimated. These people are stubbornly powerful and persistent, and they're not necessarily aggressive, but they can be very willful and purposeful and obstinate. And they're the great builders and creators of the world. They're industrious and often have an artistic flair because, of course, Taurus is also associated with Venus, the planet of love and art.
Yes.
And he says these people, Mars and Taurus people, are living examples of the adage, slow but steady wins the race. They have a streak of complacency, smug self-satisfaction, and often debilitating laziness. But they can definitely achieve concrete things in life, and once they've set their mind to something, they can be unstoppable. They assert themselves steadily, retentively, conservatively, and stubbornly. Their initiative and drive are directed toward consolidation, productivity, comfort, and the enjoyment of life's simple pleasures, often with a creative or artistic flair. Their physical energy and sexual drive are influenced by a deep appreciation of the physical senses, and they may tend towards complacency or laziness.
Wow.
They have strong, consistent sex drives and powerful sensual urges, but they are not an aggressive, make the first move kind of person.
Wow. And would you say that reflects you in general then?
Not making the first move.
Sure. Oh, really?
100%. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a nice placement, isn't it? Yeah. No, it's not a dynamic sign, but it's strong and steady, wins the race.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd rather win the race and not have to exert myself that
yeah, we don't want to break a sweat. Yeah.
Unless you're doing the stairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have a look at Mars in Gemini.
Yeah, so this is the first of the air signs.
Mm-hmm.
And Mars in Gemini this is the highly developed verbal, social, and manual skills. So really good with their hands, really clever. They might win you over by being charming and being very like sort of verbal and know-it-all and just kind of charming and witty and they're the like the Matt Damon in whatever the movie was.
Yes.
Smarty pants, clever guy.
Yeah. Good Will Hunting.
Thank you. Yeah, this is the Mars in Gemini. He's not going to fight the preppy dude, but he's going to win by being clever. Yeah, exactly. So the core psychological qualities of Mars in Gemini, according to Stephen Arroyo, are they assert themselves verbally, flexibly, cleverly, communicatively, and through a variety of skills. They focus their desires. The focus of their desires can change very quickly and often, which is a very Gemini thing. Is oh look, something shiny, and then they run off. They express a wide-ranging friendliness, and they are very good at making connections. Their physical energy and sexual drive are affected by mentally stimulating conversations, images, or curious new ideas, and they are very open-minded.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. It says they are very easily distracted, though, both male and female, and they are often confused about what they really want in a relationship. Right. So it might be hard to keep their attention. They might be attracted to, other clever, verbally oriented people, or
debate.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really a kind of a placement where if you are with someone that has Mars in Gemini, you want to keep them interested in guessing, it says here.
Okay.
Yeah, like, you want to be flirtatious and clever and charming with them. You don't want them to get bored. You don't want to have them, just think of you as like, oh, that old shoe at home, whatever. Yeah, no, they will not. They will not stick around for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then our next one then would be Mars in Cancer.
Yeah, the first of the water signs. So Mars in Cancer is a hypersensitive and moody sign, and they often have trouble demonstrating what they really feel or desire. This is a sign that asserts a placement that asserts itself self-sensitively, shyly, indirectly, intuitively, and sympathetically. Their initiative and willpower can be hindered by moodiness and cautious self-protection, but they're capable of fearless action to support loved ones. They're interested in preserving tradition and roots. Their physical and sexual energy are stimulated by feeling cared for and protected. So this might not be a great match for the Mars and Gemini, I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Their unconscious fears and vulnerabilities can inhibit their decisive action.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Mars in Cancer, yeah?
Yeah, they like to be comfortable, and they like to protect and be sort of close to emotionally, intimately with someone. But it's all about this warm closeness and care and rapport and an emotional sense of comfort and giving. Yeah, they crave security and emotional empathy.
Okay, that's one way to connect with Mars in Cancer, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, the old Netflix and chill.
Yeah, and those socks they wear.
The socks, exactly.
And blankies and whatnot.
Blankies, yeah, snuggly.
Oh, do you remember those blankets with arms in them?
I do. Yeah,
okay.
Picturing for sure. Yeah.
All right, so if we move on, we'll go to Mars in Leo.
Yes. So this is a big-hearted, extroverted, demonstrative sign. They are all about displays of affection and support for the people who they love. They will express lifelong loyalty, and they can be excessively demanding, but they will also be very demonstrative when they are in love. They may have an overly dominating attitude towards everything in their life, but and they also have a very large personality and a dramatic flair. They're very friendly, and they have a knack for telling stories and jokes. They are very entertaining and encouraging of others. So they will be the most supportive friend or loved one that you may have. They're also really good at sales, apparently, and they have a unique ability to vitalize conversations and group dynamics. So this is a really good person to have on a team if you are working.
Salesman or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Showmanship. Yeah.
They do have a great deal of pride, though, so you do not want to offend or denigrate them, because they will definitely not be loyal if they feel like you are disrespecting them or not appreciating them in some way.
Interesting. Do you know anyone like this? No, I don't.
My partner does have Mars and Leo.
Ah.
I think it's a good placement. I think it's great.
Wow.
Yeah, so here are the overall tendencies. They assert themselves dramatically, warmly, expressively, confidently, and sometimes arrogantly. They have abundant vitality with a creative flair. They need to assert themselves dramatically and dynamically and creatively, and they may be perceived as being pushy or domineering. They have physical and sexual energy, which is stimulated by attention and demonstrative generosity. They need to be complimented and appreciated for their prowess, which is in, whichever way you may interpret that. And they are warm and dramatic and ritualistic in their attention to others.
Wow.
Yeah, so they like to be with someone who is proud of them, and they like compliments and praise, but they also will give that back.
Okay.
If they feel it. This is not a placement where they will just kind of fake it, though. They're not just going to try to make you feel good about yourself just because you exist. Yeah. You have to do something to earn it, kind of.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they also, like, you're not going to just come home and find them, they don't necessarily, it's not like the Mars in Cancer where it's the comfort and the socks and the snuggly thingy. Like, when you take them out, they're going to want to dress up and,
Yeah, scrub up well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice placement.
It's a good one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the next placement we have will be Mars in Virgo.
Mars in Virgo. I know a few people with that. Yeah. So when Mars is in the analytical, systematic sign of Virgo, this person is noticeably industrious and devoted to accomplishing any tasks that they have upon themselves, whether it's assigned to them or whether they take it upon themselves. They are the craftsmen. They are willing to spend considerable time perfecting the finer details of anything that they pursue, and nothing is ever done well enough for them. So this is whether that perfectionism is turned in on themselves or if they, are judging others, only they can say.
I have to put my hand up to this placement, actually. So yeah.
Yeah, they can be picky and fault finding, and they tend to insist that others do it their way. They seek order and orderliness in all things, which of course is valuable for any number of pursuits. They are perfectionist, but they tend to want to reform not only you, but also other people. And they assert themselves modestly, helpfully, analytically, dutifully, and sometimes with petty criticism. They need to strive towards perfection in order to achieve their desires. Decisiveness and initiative can be hindered by self-criticism and over-attentiveness to details, and an underlying need to serve influences their physical energy and willpower, the ability to work hard and vigorously with practical intelligence.
Well then.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. They're also really good military strategists. This is a good placement for past presidents, I've found.
Okay.
Yeah. Interestingly, George W. Bush and Barack Obama both had Mars in
Mars
Virgo.
in Virgo, yeah. I found for myself, it's a very, I want to call it a quiet planet. It's a quiet Mars.
Yeah.
But I'm industrious, that is for sure.
God, yeah.
And I'm quite happy going alone on it. It's, beavering away.
Yeah. You're up early and always working.
I know, isn't it? That is Virgo. And that's not my only planet in Virgo, but it's one that gets me into my chair in front of my keyboard, and I keep tinkering. I keep moving forward. I don't know where I'm going sometimes, but I definitely keep trying to get it right and do a good job. Yeah.
Who can complain about that?
Yeah.
So Mars in Libra that's in its detriment.
Yes.
So the planet of aggression and self-assertion, when it's located in the sign of relationships and cooperation, there's an inevitably dynamic tension within this person. There is some difficulty in knowing exactly what one wants, which is, of course, a thing with any kind of Libra placement. But when it's in Mars, this affects your ability to express yourself assertively. So there's this indecisiveness, and frustration and anger can build up. So what normally would be a delightful and charming person can sometimes become sort of a feisty and aggressive and carping and complaining kind of energy.
Picking a fight, I think.
Picking a fight, exactly. And apparently people who are with these people have said that they are exasperating. By the time they decide what they want, you're no longer interested. There's a great need to understand them in order to have a basis for being able to have a relationship. You have to be very sort of patient and understanding, and they have to exercise a great deal of patience and understanding, because there's this push and pull that is just natural to this position. It asserts itself sociably, cooperatively, charmingly, and with a direct and energetic interest in one-to-one relationships. Initiative and drive are tactfully and tactically directed towards balance, fairness, and harmony. Physical energy and decisiveness are strongly affected by one's closest relationships and by aesthetic influences, and they may be hindered by a desire to weigh all the options. So, and this is interesting too. It says they are always comparing people. So they, exactly. This is definitely not an easy kind of...
No, it's not an easy placement.
No, exactly.
Not for relationships, because Mars does not sit easily in Libra.
Yeah, and it says they're very interested in romance and relationships, but sometimes they can almost be too clinical about it, and just kind of this sort of constant comparison of things could be better, things could be improved. Why are not like this person? Why am I not as happy as I could be? Or
why is that sagging like it never used to? Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and also this focus on fairness and balance in a relationship, which is, ideal, but cannot always be enforced. It's just like in the jungle. Yeah, all the animals are equal, but some are more equal than others.
That's right.
As George Orwell said.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the next one would be Mars in Scorpio. This has got to be a good one.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
Mars is in its own sign there, so it's pretty darn strong, isn't it?
For sure, yeah. So dynamic leadership, a strong sense of mission, passionate commitments, intense desires, and an intuitive know-how based on trusting their gut feelings. These are some of the sort of key words here.
Okay.
They have a terrific sense of purpose and determination, and their methods of operation are intuitive, but very deliberate and based on investigation of all the factors. This is investigation that goes on in their head. They may not express it in any way that you can actually, nothing that's verbalized, but there's this constant sort of like gears are turning, and they're constantly analyzing what is happening in a dynamic. So this is a good position for some sort of leadership, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
A summary of their core psychological qualities include: they assert themselves intensely, magnetically, passionately, and powerfully. Their physical energy and initiative are prompted by strong desires, compulsions, and challenges. They're capable of great endurance, and their sex drive is motivated by a desire to share deep emotional closeness and to experience profound intensity. Their secretiveness and need for self-protection and total control can hinder their decisiveness and freedom of expression. So they may be very controlling, and they may be very self-protective. So if they are insecure in the relationship in some way,
or jealous,
they may not. Yeah, exactly. It may come across as very in very negative ways. You might not even know why they are suddenly treating you terribly.
Yes.
But it may be because you've somehow undermined them in some unconscious way that you don't even necessarily know. Don't ever purposely try to make this type jealous. That is not going to turn out well for you.
I think you get the silent treatment with this one as well, because silence then is a weapon.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's true of any Scorpio placement.
Yeah, well, maybe, you're probably right.
Honestly, people don't ever try to make someone jealous on purpose. It's just not good. And I'm saying this as someone who is with a Scorpio and has been for 25 years. It's not a good look. It just isn't. If I've learned anything, it's, don't play games with people, Unless, of course, there's got a lot of stuff in Gemini, in which case maybe they like that. Then you can just mutually do that. But most people, it's just a bad idea to mess with people's emotions and try to control them and puppet master them to do something that's going to gratify your ego. It's not a great recipe for relationship success.
No.
But these people with Mars and Scorpio, they have strong attractions, and the emotional intensity is often overwhelming, and they regard their sexual relationships as very important parts of their lives, but they can also sublimate this into business and being a ruthless, tyrannical boss, possibly.
Wow. Tricky placement.
It's tricky.
Tricky placement.
Very good for certain things, but maybe, it's all about the compatibility, right? It's all about whether or not you are with someone who can handle that kind of intensity and bring out the best in it, and doesn't, trifle with it and take the whatever that thing is when you mess with the bull or whatever I don't know, whatever that is.
It's coming for you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so then moving on.
Yes.
Our next one would be Mars in Sagittarius.
Yeah, and this is the last of the fire signs.
Right.
We have some fire trucks going on in the background. I'm sure you can hear that. Just downtown Vancouver.
Yep.
Yeah. So the essence of Mars in Sagittarius. Due to their tendency to constantly be changing and expanding their horizons or expressing their further plans for improvement of their lives, distilling the core psychological qualities has been especially challenging. They assert themselves honestly, idealistically, energetically, impulsively, and tactlessly. Their decisiveness and strong actions are motivated by aspirations towards an ideal or vision of the future, guided by one's beliefs, morality, and inspirations. Their physical and sexual excitement is stimulated by adventurous activities and has an expansive urge for self-improvement and a restless need for exploration. So people with this Mars placement are happy to travel, to pursue sports, to go on hikes, to
out and about.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking this is like the Marlboro Man placement, you know, like
riding a horse and
yeah, exactly. Or like, you know, you're really sporty kind of women, like
canoeing or something. Or
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
mountaineering or
yeah, totally. They're often humorous and they have a really good nature. They're honest and idealistic, and you might not always feel like you are the primary thing that they're thinking of if you're in a relationship with them.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But if you share interests, this is something.
Shared interests, yeah.
Yeah, shared interests will be really important.
Do things together. Outdoorsy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Travel together.
Sounds exhausting as I'm talking about. Sounds exhausting already.
I mean, it could even be intellectual adventures. You could have a shared love of documentaries or listen to the same audiobooks or podcasts and learn things together.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Explore horizons of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Mars in Capricorn.
Mars in Capricorn. So this is exalted. So it's pretty well placed here.
Yeah. So the Mars in Capricorn character asserts itself cautiously, seriously, authoritatively, ambitiously, and with strong self-discipline. Their decisiveness is accompanied by careful planning, calculation, and patience. Physical energy is often directed toward personal material goals and long-term achievements. They pursue their desires steadily and persistently through conventional channels. A strong sexual urge is self-controlled, and they have an insistent drive not only towards sex, but also towards achieving respectability, commitment, and achievement. Whether that's in a relationship or whether it's in business, they like to project an image of control.
Yeah. I think this is a great placement for Mars. These are people who can get things done. They can play the long game and actually achieve a lot if they've got this Capricorn placement.
Yeah. Yeah, it must be great for them. Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me.
Well,
here we go. Here are a few more quotes. Demanding exercise is important for their physical well-being of a Mars and Capricorn type. That's a good thing. A driving force is present, and they can be formidable with resources to fall back on, especially in times of difficult conditions. They have a deep earthiness and a sexual nature that's attuned to their physical instincts. They have an insistence and power that they tend to keep under tight control. But when the time arrives to unleash their urges, they can sometimes surprise people who see them as remote and cold because they have a remarkable depth of passion and a demonstrable desire, which is very much of an earthy thing, I think. People underestimate the passion of the earthy types.
Yes,
but yet they have that...
slow to be aroused, I think.
Slow burn, exactly.
A slow burn, yeah.
Mars and Capricorn.
Yeah. So then our next one will be... Mars in Aquarius.
Yeah, this is our last air sign.
Okay.
Mars in Aquarius. They are uncompromising in their desire for freedom and rebellion. This combination results in a particularly unpredictable expression of energy, sometimes manifesting as remarkably innovative originality, and sometimes as contrariness bordering on eccentric or just cranky. Extremism characterizes some of their ideas, and they have a fondness, especially in their youth, for revolutionary solutions that promise easy reform of societies, organizations, or fields of study. At best, they can express a great objectivity and a passion for truly scientific experimental attitudes. And at worst, they can be dogmatic, conservative, and materialistic. They're very strong-willed, although it's not necessarily evident when you first meet them, because they tend to be, as an air sign, very sort of sociable and conversational and erudite and intelligent, but they can also be very oddballs. They assert themselves intelligently, individualistically, eccentrically, and independently. The achievement of their goals can be thwarted by their rebelliousness, but reforming, revolutionizing urges can be channeled into creative innovations. And their physical energy and sex drive are stimulated by a sense of freedom, experimentation, and the excitement of new possibilities and new ideas. Detachment and scientific objectivity can hinder the expression of emotion and passionate desires, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. I think this is a placement where they can urge the mob on, basically, or, agitate Because Mars is the heat and the energy, and it can be that rebellious
Mario
side.
Savio on the steps of Berkeley, kind of, the fist in the air.
Yeah, expressing energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So then we're on to our last sign, which is Mars in Pisces.
Yes, this is the last water sign, the last of all the signs.
Oh.
Mars in Pisces. This fluid, sympathetic, and multi-directional sign of Pisces is sympathetic and intuitive, the most of all of the Mars signs, but they habitually have trouble defining what they themselves want to achieve. Their aims are invariably affected by their ideals, and sometimes hard to define sense of mission in life. Their subjective influences are often very unconscious, so they often don't know what they want to fight for. Their unobtrusive nature sometimes makes it difficult for them to get ahead in life, and holds them back professionally or in relationships because they are not prone to being that aggressive and sort of alpha kind of thing.
Yeah.
They can be very romantic, but they can also be sort of dissipated and wishy-washy.
Oh.
Yeah. But they can also be very devoted to selflessness and service and idealistic causes, and to lose themselves in escapist activities or in being in love with love, as they say.
Okay.
Yeah, they frequently have healing powers and a natural charitable instinct, which can be channeled into
That's nice. Yeah.
into wonderful, volunteering or
Charity.
humanitarian. Exactly. So virtually everything about Pisces, as Stephen Arroyo says, is difficult to verbalize. But here are some core qualities that they may have. They assert this Mars placement asserts itself idealistically, empathetically, agreeably, and with underlying kindness. Their initiative and willpower are colored by sensitivity and compassion for others. They pursue their desires subtly, and they're motivated by inspiration, intuition, or a guiding vision. Their physical energy and sexual drive are affected by dreams, moods, and emotions. Their self-assertion and decisiveness are encumbered, or can be encumbered, by substantial personal and emotional vulnerability.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite a contradiction, really, isn't it? That planet in that sign. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, as he says, it is difficult to define a lot of the Pisces placements, and I have been meaning to mention this, or I've mentioned it and just forgotten a bunch of times. But I have a friend who is a Pisces and has a few planets in Pisces. I've done her chart and I've been like, whoa, that's a lot of Pisces.
Yeah.
And she says to me, nobody ever talks about Pisces, which is funny and sweet. And not true, but at the same time, maybe this is why. Maybe it is because it is so hard to sort of pin down.
And it's the last sign,
It's the last sign. It's water.
Everyone else is yelling ahead in the queue. What about me? What about me? And Pisces is saying, no, after you. Yeah. Allow me to pay for lunch. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, though. I mean, if you can actually harness, and these are all, it's so funny, these words that we use, harness and drive, these, and then you think about water and fishes, and like, oh, how do you drive a fish? How do you pin down a fish?
You can't.
You can't pin down water.
No. I know, I've mentioned before that I grew up in my family's full of Pisces.
Right.
Both my parents were Pisces, my sisters are Pisces, and I have one daughter who's a Pisces, and honestly, it's, I don't know. It's, being a strong Leo, it's very, I see them for what they are, and I just know if we go shopping, we're going to get shoes. There's no question. And it's the same.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, they're all the same.
One of my favorite previous Pisces friends, I interviewed her for the company I worked for before. And I made some joke. I think we were talking about astrology, and I made some joke. Oh, except for Pisces, haha. And she looked stricken, and I was like, "Oh God, you're a Pisces." And she's like, she showed me her phone, and her phone had a picture of Dory from
Saving Nemo, or whatever it's called,
Finding Nemo, and that was her phone screensaver. And she's like,
say no more.
The most Pisces person, but in a wonderful way. And she actually ended up quitting her job to start a shoe store.
Yes.
Called Shoe Fix. Double entendre, very much intended. Addiction and shoes and feet. And it's all Pisces.
It's all Pisces.
It's so amazing.
Always shoes.
Amazing.
I don't even bother thinking we're going to try and code. So no, let's just go to the shoe department and get it over with. Yeah. But anyway, so
So are we saying that they could be fetishists?
I don't know,
maybe.
But it's just...
Yeah.
They move in a different way.
If anyone's going to be a fetishist, that's probably Mars and Pisces. Right?
Yeah, for feet, for sure.
Please, if you're a Mars and Pisces and you're offended, write to us and let us know. Tell us, set us straight. Tell us we're wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so that's great. We've been through all of the signs with Mars, through all of the signs, which is... and as I say, we did do Venus. We'll probably get around to all the planets in time to come. I mean, there's so much to talk about in astrology. We've said this before.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, if you found value in this episode, please do consider sharing it with someone who may be interested.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to drop us a line, you can contact us at starzology@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we'd love to hear from you.
We would love to hear from you.
Yeah. So this has been great. Thank you so much again, Arwynne, for joining me with our Mars and the Signs episode, and it's been lovely having you.
Thank you. It's been great to be here. Thanks for
so
listening.
much. Thanks so much for getting this far through the episode. I just want to take a moment to tell you about the two main options of my astrology services. So the first one is coaching. If you are an aspiring astrologer, and by that I mean someone who's perhaps a hobbyist astrologer or someone who's learning astrology or a student, or you've got a few books and you've been doing it for a while, but perhaps you need a little bit of help to bring it all together, then maybe getting some astrological coaching from me would be the answer for you. The astrology coaching I offer is a 1-hour session on Zoom, and it's tailored to answer your particular questions. For example, if you have issues with natal chart readings, we can go there. Or if you're having problems working with your forecasting, we can go there. Or even basic astrology stuff, or even getting yourself organized for your astrology business. The idea is that astrological coaching will answer your particular questions. It's tailored specifically to you and where you are in your astrological journey. And I'm happy to help you out with some guidance about how you can get going, what to focus on, and what to dismiss. So that would be the astrological coaching for people trying to learn astrology. The second astrological service I offer is consultations. So this is for someone who perhaps doesn't know anything about astrology, but they just want to have their chart read or get their chart done. Call it what you will. So once more, this is a 1-hour consultation over Zoom. I will interpret your chart, tell you about the main features, tell you about where the energy is flowing, and all the rest of what is entailed in a thorough natal chart interpretation. I can also add in some forecasting in there too, bearing in mind we only have 1 hour. So just in summary, I've got coaching for people who want to learn astrology, and I've got consultations for those who want to get an astrology reading done. I'm Alison Price from Starzology.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.